And good evening, everybody. Welcome to an all new episode of Holotheatre. As always, I'm Dan Tartagleone, also known as DTartag1. Joining me tonight with his epic beard of epicness out of the great state of Minnesota, Mr. Garrett Larson. How you doing tonight, Garrett?
I'm on the right side of the ground, so everything else is bonus today.
Well, I mean, that's always good. I'm glad to hear that you're above ground and safe and getting ready for. I think you're getting ready for some Star Wars, if I remember correctly. You got a tournament coming up this weekend.
I do. I got Bespin Regionals coming up on tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Saturday in South St. Paul. So
Well,
trying to get some last minute testing and tweaks and stuff in, figure out what I want to play.
awesome. Well, before we get into, we'll actually talk a little bit about the Bestman Regional here in a little bit. But before we do get into that, as well as our other main topic, which is of course the World Championships that are coming out in 2 weeks, I believe, something like that.
That's happening this year.
You know what? It's not like the April OCS at all.
It's not. Well, I mean, it's kind of like it because Tom's not going to be in either one, but it'll be
Touche.
it'll be a good time though.
Hopefully it will. But before we go into that, let's go ahead and talk about what's going on right now in Star Wars CCG. As always, let's start with the July OCS. Gavin is in first place at 11-1, followed by Drew at 10-2. Jared, this is a little bit of a surprise. Kevin Yop is sitting at fourth place at 9-3. Matt Harris, the trainer, and Sam Tashima all at 9-3 as well. So
There's a lot of what we've seen the last few OCS months. It feels like have been a little bit more variety or parity going in there.
mm-hmm.
You're not seeing you're not seeing multiple people roll off 11-1, 12-0. You're seeing the 10-2s, 9-3s. Like look down even to like down to 14th place, Brad Kipple at 8-4. Like that's a lot of players kind of beating each other up
Mm-hmm.
as we get closer to Worlds, because I think the meta's unsettled right now.
I
And
will agree with that. And looking on down the line, like you were saying, like right now, CryptoFist is sitting at 6-1. Mike Pistone is sitting at 6-0, and then on the other side, Bastion is sitting at 5-0. So there's a few players who still have a chance. They just got to get their games in the next 4 days.
that's the toughest part. Like I definitely felt like I was pushing. So I don't think I even started until like middle of the month, and then I knocked out a few over a couple of weekends and got all my games in, but didn't
Yeah.
play particularly well.
Well, I will say you probably played a lot better than me. Um,
I think I ended up 5-7. So let's not.
yeah, you definitely did better than I did this month.
Yeah, your record doesn't look that hot there. I see it over in
No.
59th place. You got
Yeah.
12 games in. So
That's all I was trying. And
it,
then
it's a it's an unsettled meta right now, so it makes it really hard to figure out the what's gonna happen.
yeah, and then on your road to worlds, uh, both Connor Britton and Tom are sitting at 7-1. Greg Shaw and Jared Napolitano both sitting at 6-2. And then we got a few other players who have some games in. Uh, Looks like, even though I don't know if he's going to Worlds, but Justin Desai sitting at 3-0. So we got a little bit more time on that. I believe we got 13 days left on the World to Worlds. So get your games in.
Yeah, as I say, we got at least another week.
Yeah,
I know Justin said he's a maybe for Worlds. He hasn't completely ruled it out last I saw, and he's definitely been on playtesting a lot with Johnny
mm-hmm.
and I think Johnny's kids. So
Yeah,
like that may get him to the yep, I definitely want to come out and play mode.
yeah.
Um, we'll have to see.
And speaking of Worlds, again, Worlds is the wrong one. Oh no, the wrong one. Worlds is coming up really fast, like we just talked about. Uh, Worlds is in essentially 2 weeks. It is August 10th through the 13th. It is going to be one heck of a weekend. Uh, Again, all the fun starts on August 10th with the retro event as well as Throtto's Cube Spectacular. The cube starts at noon, and the retro event also starts as noon, and then on Friday evening we will have our team tournament, and then
Yep.
Saturday again. Registration opens at 8:30. The tournament starts at 9:45, so be there early, everybody.
And Chris keeps things going pretty quick, so
Yeah, and
don't
then
don't tempt him.
no,
Be there on time, get stuff running.
unless of course you're flying in day of, like a certain someone that we know of, and then
A
the
certain batty mouse, yeah, that's gonna be.
I, hey,
I hope he gets here.
I hope he does too. And then Sunday again is going to be the top eight as well as the consolation. Like I said, it is going to be a very fun event. Right now, we're at 58 players. Like that's a
That's
lot.
that's a lot. I
That's
mean,
pretty good. I want to say the venue holds up to 70, so that's going to be pushing it.
honestly, that's good. I mean, it shows that still the largest area or the most populated area of players within easy driving distance is still the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's why we will always have some sort of East Coast major because Worlds is going to draw 60 plus.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, I will say this: like, I'm really jealous of the people who got to go to the San Diego Super Open. Uh, the West Coast is kind of still the best coast, in my opinion. Uh, However, yeah, like you were saying, there's a lot of people coming out to this event. I mean, last year for Worlds, I think we had. Um, Let me double check that.
Thought we had slightly less than 50.
Yeah, I do think you're correct on that. I'm actually trying to check on that right now.
And a lot of that just stems from, like we were talking about, Worlds last year was in Atlanta. Atlanta is something the majority of players have to fly to. And as soon as you have
Yeah,
to fly to something, it's more of an investment in time and money than just hey, I can drive down for the day or I can drive down for the weekend. You know, it adds it adds to the cost. And the East Coast, especially the Northeast, with New York and Philly and Pittsburgh and all of those high population areas.
Pittsburgh's not high populated because we're only bringing one person to Worlds.
Well, but there's a lot of people there. Like
Yeah,
you're talking about just density of people is in the Northeast. You're going to find the most people who can drive
yeah,
to an event, and that is easier than flying.
yeah. It just look at Kendall. He always likes to drive.
Yeah, Kendall doesn't like to fly though, and
I
that's
know.
I don't actually blame him for that. I don't love flying. I prefer driving, but I'm not going to try and drive from Minnesota to New York. I might, however, drive to his super weekend he's running in Columbus,
Well,
just because
yeah. Let's
I
talk
can
about
get
that in
there.
a second. We'll definitely talk about that in a second. But actually, yeah, let's talk about that right now. So, for those who do know, What we were talking about last night on the show, Kendall had the honor of announcing the Corellia Super Weekend to go in themes with like the Evan Four Super Weekend, and I think those were it for the Super Weekends. Uh,
Bespin used to do one pretty
yeah,
frequently.
yeah,
We moved
but
away from it the last few years, but it used to be the Bespin Super Weekend, and yeah, it was
kind
Minnesota State's followed by regional, or vice versa.
so the weekend after Worlds, Kendall is hosting both Corellia Regionals as well as Ohio States, coinciding with his. No, no, I'm sorry. It is not the weekend after Worlds. It is the weekend
As I say, I thought it
after.
was
Yeah, yeah.
November.
It's in November. It's the weekend after the Indoor Grand Prix.
Okay.
I got so much going on like right now. It's ridiculous. But we'll talk about that in a second. Again, that is coinciding with his birthday. So everybody go visit Kendall. Wish him a birthday as you beat him down when he plays Bring Him Before Me and Tig, or Bring Him Before Court and Tig, or Court and 12 card Throne Room. Just saying, just putting it out there. Uh,
Yeah.
but in September, we have the European Championships. Those again will be on September 8th through the 10th. Right now, again, it is going to be in Bochum, Germany. So make sure you guys get out there. I know we had a few Americans last year go. I don't think any Americans are going to be going this year, but it's still going to be a great event. The Europeans know how to put on an event.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if Peter Jacobson made a surprise appearance. I don't know exactly how
Yeah.
far that is from where he lives in Switzerland, but he is, however, making a surprise appearance in Western Regional on
Okay.
Saturday. He's
Nice.
spending some time back in his home state of Minnesota and timed it out so he can come play cards with us.
Why would he ever want to come back to Minnesota?
Considering it's 100 degrees and humid today, I don't have a clue. It's it was nasty out there today. The little bit of time I went outside,
That's fair. And then
but
we did bring this up a little bit ago. The Indoor Grand Prix will be from October 27th or until the 29th. Again, that's going to start with they're going to be a sealed deck tournament starting at noon that day. I believe it's going to be OTSD and Jabba's Palace sealed. So that's going to be a really fun one. Uh, so you will get to take home the cards. You get to play with the box. So make sure that you donate all your boxes to Brian Fred because you know he's going to collect them. But yeah, that's going to be a big one. This is like the first sealed event in a long time. And
yeah,
then,
I mean I saw that was coming up and kind of looking at it and going, dang it, I'm going to Worlds. Like I'll travel to one tournament. I can fly to one tournament a year, pretty much. So
why don't you recreate the trip that Hayes, Joe, and Kyle did from the NPC one year, going through like all of that and driving back to Seattle?
because I don't want to get COVID again. So
Who says you have to get COVID to do that trip?
I mean, that was, if you're going to recreate it, that was really the thing. But no, like honestly, the drive to Seattle would just be brutal. Like
Yeah,
the 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 Montana has some spots that are beautiful, but the Dakotas are flat and boring and long. And
yeah, I can see it.
I'm not making that drive.
That's fair.
Not a multi-day thing. At that
Now,
point, it's cheaper to fly, and
yeah,
it's just sorting it out. So we'll say. I mean, if I win the Powerball tomorrow night, I'll be there.
okay. Well,
But the sealed deck is awesome.
yeah,
Like that. That's
I
a
do agree. And then the team tournament
it's
will be
fun
going on
format.
that Friday evening, and then again the main event will be going on Saturday, top eight on Sunday, and the consolation as well. So I mean that's going to be like a busy week. Anybody who goes to Endor, and then if they decide to go to Kendall's Corellia Super Blowout thing, that's going to be a fun little weekend, like a week for everybody.
I thought Kendall's is in November.
It's right after that event. It's the week
Oh yeah. Oh
after.
yeah. That's end of October. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
That's
like
that'll be.
it's gonna be busy. Like I'm trying to go to both. Like, I'm going to Endor. Like, my sister's buying my ticket for me, so I have to watch her dogs in December. So, yeah. But I'm going to Endor one way or another. I need to go get away from my birthday. But that's besides the point. Kendall,
That makes.
I'm sorry, you might be on the back burner a little bit.
I mean, it happens. Everybody's got to prioritize the time they can get to things. I mean, real world does kind of come into play, and I'm Columbus for me is kind of going to be a if someone else wants to drive. Like I probably won't just go by myself,
Hmm.
but if someone else says, "Yeah, I'd be willing to split driving or whatever," I could be convinced. So I'm easy to convince that way. So
And again, so really quick, in August 27th, again, is going to be the next GEMP thematic Swiss series event. It is the Battle for Boba Fett. It's going to occur on Saturday, August 27th. Registration ends at 8 a.m. Eastern on the 27th, and the event begins at 2 p.m. Eastern. So get out there. Again, just for playing, you'll get a bunch of foil stuff, including a Boba Fett, foil, Boba foil, Slave 1 foil, and lots of other cool prizes as well. And again, the first place winner will receive. There's going to be some PC Excel deck boxes given out. So the more people that participate, the more that are given out. So I know I think we had like 18 on the last one, and we had 3 deck boxes given
right.
out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the deck box tournaments have been a great idea. Whoever came up with it, and
Oh, we know. We know who
staggering
did
the
it.
times. I'm sure it was Jared because Jared comes up with everything because Jared is just does amazing stuff for the community all the time. But it's been such a fun, like I love the deck boxes and I love not just the tournaments for it, but
Mm-hmm.
staggering the start times. As much as I didn't like a 6 a.m. start after I went and bounced around on a cement floor for a while, it was still awesome to like, hey, let's make sure we can include
Why were
lots
you
of
bouncing
players.
around on a cement floor?
Because I went and saw Descendants the night before. So
Oh, okay. That makes sense now.
it was a very good show that day. It was supposed to be my all 3 of my kids, but one of them had a migraine, so it was my wife and 2 of my kids. And my wife sat in the back and crocheted while she bounced around to Descendants. It was pretty old lady punk rock. I was pretty impressed with it. So
Awesome.
it was
And then speaking of the
so
Bespin region, again this weekend, the Bespin regionals will be going on in South St. Paul, Minnesota. Get out there, play. Give Garrett a hug for if you show up, and yeah, it should be a nice little warm up for Worlds. You guys got like a nice little contingent of people who are going to Worlds, so maybe you guys will come up with some good deck ideas before we get into the real big event of the year.
I mean, I'm hoping, yeah, because I'm sure, I'm going to be at Worlds. Sam's going to be at Worlds. Charlie's going to be at Worlds. I think Dennis might be coming out to Worlds. Like, I haven't looked at the pre-registration list, but there could easily be 5 or 6 Minnesotans headed out there, and they're probably all going to be at Bestman Regional playing
Mm-hmm. Well, I
this
mean,
Saturday, and it'll be a good time.
I do know that like half of it's like most of the people from Minnesota are on the new allies, and I know they're rolling deep. So, how are you going to be? How are you prepared to face all them new allies at this event at regionals?
Well, I mean, I faced them at Minnesota States and went 3-0. So I'm comfortable, teams help you generate ideas and help you get a lot of play testing in, but you still have to one-on-one play the game. And, you know, I used to be pretty good at this, so we're getting back there. And the new allies are all good guys. I mean, Bill's a little questionable sometimes, but that's everybody else is. They're fun guys. They're fun to
Yeah.
see. They're fun to chat with.
I
And
mean, besides like Mike Kessling and Brian Fred, I mean, yeah, I would say like Bill's definitely the questionable one. Greg's a little shaky sometimes, but he's mostly a good guy.
yeah, I mean, B Fred's great as long as you're not trying to, take his cards. So
100%. So
no, it's I love where the game is at right now, and even with the rivalry amongst teams is lighthearted and much more about having fun than
mm-hmm.
you know we're at the end of the day we're all here to have fun first and foremost, and it's by playing cards with our friends.
Yeah.
So that's what Worlds is for me and will always be at this point. So
Okay.
it'll be fun, and Western Regionals is going to be fun. Like I said, Peter Jacobson from Switzerland is going to be there, and we'll have some. I know a couple people are kind of coming out of retirement just to see Peter and play, so we could
There
end
you
up with a
go.
pretty solid turnout.
Nice. Okay, so why don't we get into the main thing, which is, of course, the World Championship that is coming up again in 2 weeks? Like,
It is. It's coming up quick.
yeah, like who would have thought? So I do have some swing and a miss questions for tonight, so we'll start with those. We'll talk about them as we go on, and then we'll go a little bit about like some just like the thoughts and stuff as we about Worlds. So our first swing and the miss question for tonight is Obi-Wan Communing will be the most played light side deck at Worlds. So let's start with you, Mr. Garrett.
Um, I'm going to say that's a hit, but it's going to be close.
Okay.
I think the balance, the last errata that murdered Rops and brought brought the farm puller back into balance a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
weakened it a little bit, but it's didn't kill it.
No, I agree. So you were saying about like, so you're saying it's not dead then?
No, it's not dead at all.
Okay. So if you're thinking that it's not going to be the most played deck, what would you say? What do you like then for? Oh,
I think
okay.
I think Obi will end up being the most played deck, but I think it's going to be close. I think you're going to see Yoda communing. I think you're going to see other mains platforms. I think you're going to see no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think part of what we were talking about with parity in players is right now there's a lot of parity in decks. There's a lot of good decks out there, and I don't necessarily think we have a absolute of the top of the top, because a lot of them are sort of similar.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see Skywalker Saga and all the different communings and Hitco all are at their core mains decks.
Yes.
They've got other fun stuff to go with it, and they play very differently, and they're different decks, but at their core, they're similar mains decks, because right now we're in a spot where mains always has a chance to win.
Yeah.
Like, mains played well, you're in every game. Even the games that might not be a great matchup, you're at least in them, and you have a chance to,
Mm-hmm.
puncher's chance, have something good happen. And that's where I think you're going to see a lot of at Worlds.
Okay.
So
Well, so I think you're on the right track with that mains, like especially for light side right now. I think light side mains are really really good. Um, you hit the nail on the head. Like Obi-Wan Communing is still a really strong deck. I mean, even though the the farm pooler is nerfed a little bit with the shield, we have Master Luke getting the nerf. You have the effect getting the nerf. It's still being played, and I think at this point there aren't a lot of surprises out there, and I don't think we're going to see any real surprises when it comes down to um, any decks before Worlds. I don't think there's like we're not going to see it like last year where Team Five brought out Yoda communing with uh, the Cantina and all of that. I don't see that. I see people playing what they know. The thing is, like, it comes. It's going to come down to what people think. Obviously, it's going to be like, well, you're in a rock paper scissors meta at this point in a little bit of a way. So if people are going to be playing what they know, Obi-Wan communing is probably the best deck. Yoda communing, kind of, maybe. I mean, it's still you don't have fully immune Jedi. Qui-Gon communing, nobody has been playing that. I haven't seen any Qui-Gon in a while, and that's kind of a shame because I mean it was the top dog out there 2 years ago when Joe ended up winning Worlds. So Hitco to me seems like the weakest option. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Let the Wookiee Wins type of a mains deck. I think, but if you're going to play playing light side, I'm going to go out on a limb say 0 Hours probably the deck I would pick. It has
you think
a good matchup against mostly, like, it has a decent matchup against Bring It Before Me. It has a decent matchup against Dark Side mains. It has a decent matchup against Shadow Collective as well. Like,
are you playing different 0 hour games than me?
no, because
0 hour,
I get
I've
wrecked regardless what I play.
I see it struggle to mains. Like mains is I think the biggest downside to 0 hour. 0 hour can be very strong and very flexible, but if Darkside can get some big immunity mains down early, 0 hour struggles.
Okay.
They struggle to clear them and they struggle to keep them clear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 0 hour is a good deck. I think it's an interesting deck. I think it's in a good spot power level wise, but I'm not sure it's going to be the top deck out there unless we have like new allies or a team that just says, hey,
Yeah, that's what I think what could happen.
we've solved the mains beat, and that would be if they come out and say, hey, we figured out how to solve mains without giving up some of the other things you have to have.
Mm-hmm.
0 hour definitely is playable. Like 0 hour is good, and it's again that rock paper scissors meta. Like 0 hours out there, and it's good, and
Mm-hmm.
You don't necessarily want to, you
Yeah,
don't want to be forgetting to play it.
that's fair. If I'm like, I don't know, like I said, I mean, I just don't want to pick. I want to see something else other than Obi-Wan communing, because Obi-Wan communing had its moment in the sun when Hayes won nationals. At least that's
Yep.
how I feel. I want to see something different. Like, no idea. Like, it's always been one of those decks that a lot of people play. Um, did Desai? I don't know. Did Desai play No Idea at Worlds last year, or was he on? Yeah, communing.
I thought he might have been on Legend.
No, Legend was bad.
Was he on Legend the year before then?
Um,
I'm not sure. I honestly
he
don't.
was
I
on
didn't play him,
communing.
so
Well, The year
I
before,
know he was on ROPS for the other side.
yeah, I know he won with Rops. Like he was big time Rops.
Yeah.
But as for his light side, like I honestly forgot what his light side was, and that's kind of a shame.
Yeah, I'm not.
No, he was on Legend. He was on Legend day one.
That's what I thought,
So
because I
yeah,
thought
yeah, you're
Legend
right.
versus ROPS was the final.
Yeah,
So I thought both him and MHT were on
MHT was on no
ROPS
idea.
and Legend, because
Uh,
it was after that that Rose and BB-8 got nerfed.
yeah. No, I was gonna say MHT was on no idea. I know that much.
Oh, MHT was. You're right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, both I know both of them played Rops. Like Rops was the deck last year.
Yeah.
But so let's talk about Dark Side, because now like essentially took away the best deck. I would say Rops was the best deck on both sides, by far. But
Yeah.
as for Worlds, Bring It Before Me will be the most played Dark Side deck at Worlds. I'm gonna say I want to say it's going to be a miss. And the reason I'm saying that is because I think people are looking at Shadow Collective at this point, and they're playing it a lot. Like people are playing a lot of it. It's doing well. Like I think it could be either of these two. I really do, because Bring It Before Me is by far the best Dark Side mains deck. But Shadow Collective right now is really strong for some reason.
It is, but like Shadow Collective felt really strong going into Worlds in DC,
True.
and I was literally the only person to play it on day one. But like
Mm-hmm.
Shadow Collective is Shadow Collective can be very good. I'm not sure it's good enough or popular enough to outstrip Bring It Before Me.
Okay.
I think Bring It Before Me will be not necessarily the clear leader, but I think Bring It Before Me will be the most played Dark Side deck,
Mm-hmm.
because it's again a deck that gives you a chance in every theater, and you can play you can play the game. You're never with Bring It Before Me in a point where you're like, well, I can't do anything because I'm just going to lose.
Yeah, I get that, but like at the same time, I feel like we've seen Bring It Before Me now to the point where I think people know how to play it inside and out. They know how to play in it. They know how to play against it. So I think, and I get that you want to play what you know. You want to play with your what you know. You don't want to play what you're good with and everything. And Bring It Before Me is a very straightforward, very kind of. It does have that ability to react to what the light side player is doing, but at the same time, it's not something that it can. To me, it seems like it's a very straightforward type of a deck, almost kind of like Hoth Walkers at this point. Walkers is a very, very, very straightforward deck. You know what you're going to do against it. You know what your opponent's going to do. You know they're going to try and just put big blue vehicles on Hoth and say, okay, I have halfway decent immunity. I'm going to play Trample to get rid of your guys that I can get rid of. What are you going to do against me? Whereas Bring It Before Me, I mean, it's still kind of the same way. You know that they're going to drop Vader. You know you're going to want to pull either Luke or Leia, so that way they can flip. You know that they're going to have tricks in the battle. You know that you're going to play leadership or sand to cancel, so that they only get one destiny there. You know that their package is mostly the Double Star Destroyer and Maul with Sith Infiltrator. Like, there's really not. I don't think that there's any way to surprise anybody playing Bring It Before Me. Whereas with Shadow Collective, there's kind of is. I mean, another deck that I'm looking at.
But like ROPS, we both agreed was the best deck.
Yeah.
On both sides for the last year and a half, and basically Rops had two versions. There was the Imperials and then there was the Nines.
Yeah.
And you knew exactly what you were facing when you faced them. You still have to win. Your game plan still has to be good enough to beat a good player playing a good deck well.
True.
Like that's a, you know, not surprise factor can be valuable. And
Yes.
the surprise factor when the players are equally skilled is going to tilt the match one way, at least to an extent. But the surprise factor only gets you so far if the deck just isn't as good.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to play I could show up with Ewoks and no one will expect it and no one will know exactly how to play against it, but it's still a bad deck and you're not going to win. So,
I don't
like,
know.
you have
You
to.
might be able to get one or two wins out with it.
I
I
think you
mean,
are vastly overestimating my ability to play Ewoks. Um,
I mean, to be fair, like, I mean, there are a few players you might be able to surprise. I don't know. Logan's going. I mean, outside of that,
yeah, I mean,
I haven't signed up, so you don't get the free win there.
yeah, there's always going to be those random matchups, and like I said, too, play skill in this game is so much a determinant.
Mm-hmm.
The better player wins the majority of the games, and
Yeah.
it's the surprise factor evens the bar somewhat, but you still have to have a surprise deck that's bad is still a bad deck.
Tell that to Batmouse. I think he surprised a few people with his tractor beams. Or tell that to Hayes last year at Nationals with his intruder missiles. Those surprise people.
Yeah, and but so that was a known deck with a few cards tweaked to really take advantage of something, and it was
Yeah.
super well done.
Yeah.
And it was played by a really good player, which is a huge part of it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
no, I think Bring Him will end up being, because I think it's the best Dark Side mains platform.
Yeah.
I think it will be the most played Dark Side. Because again, if you can't come up with a better deck, mains gives you a puncher's chance almost every game.
Yeah. And as we saw at Nationals with on stream, Kendall versus Kessling, Bring It Before Me is no, Tigby Bring It Before Me. Never mind. Scrap what I was going to say.
Yep.
I will say this: the deck that I'm curious to see, and I think the best players might play, and I really kind of I think in this meta it's not a bad match to go with. Is AOBS. I think a player like Jared, Joe, even Jeff Levine, them playing AOBS, they're going to win 3 out of at least 4 of their games.
And I look at that and say, if they're playing agents, they aren't expecting Hitco or Obi Mooning, because anything that's Luke focused that keeps them on the 0 side is much harder for agents. I think agents is a good deck. I think there's a lot of good synergy with it. It's a fun deck to play.
Mm-hmm.
But if Lightside can get Luke out and keep Luke on table, your damage output is real low.
Yeah.
And you put a lot of cards on table to do it, because you can't trust any of you guys to just solo own a site.
True. I will say. I mean,
like,
but the thing is, like, you don't have to worry about. Like, yes, you put a lot of cards on the table, but we're in the strength of schedule type of an atmosphere versus differential. So as long as you win
I'm
by
not worried about
one, you still by
differential.
one.
But when you're putting a lot of cards on table, and Obi Munin or Hitko is just steady draining you for 4 to 6 a turn, you don't have a lot of turns you can eat that drain when you've got 25 cards on table. That's what I'm saying. Is it you're I'm not worried about differential. It's just simply if they can get you into critical mass on numbers, you can get hurt quick because you just run out of the ability to respond to things.
Yeah.
But I think Agents is a good deck. I could definitely see it being played. I don't think it gets played in the level of multiples it needs to be the most played deck.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I think part of that is still access to Emperors. To play that deck relic, you still want 3 Emperors at least.
I was going to say, I've got 5. I'm not playing if you need them.
I will say that's one of the things I love that, probably wasn't on our things to discuss list, but Chris Kelly spoiled that the PC is planning to make a new effectively budget version of Luke Jedi Knight and Emperor Palpatine with that Destiny 6.
Yeah.
So folks who have been otherwise priced out of those decks.
That's fine. What they need to do is bring back the Jemperor. But that's a subject for another time.
I mean, I wouldn't hate that. I liked him as a character. That was a fun...
It was a really good mechanic. I really liked that character. Okay, on to question number 3. Joe Olsen will be the highest ranked player in the Fantasy Worlds game. So, looking at last year, the top that we had 3: Joe Olsen, Johnny Chu, and Justin Desai, all tied at 55 points.
And Chu did not make day 2.
For the first time ever.
Yeah, and Justin is a maybe to come.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this: from what it looks like, Justin's in the chat. So if we got a 2-week announcement from Justin, this would be the time.
That'd be Justin just dropping into Twitch like, right. I'm coming back.
Yeah, right. I mean,
so,
to be fair, it is in close proximity for him. It would be really cool to see him defend his title. And Johnny's coming. Those are 3 things.
And Johnny's kids are coming. And Johnny's kids are awesome.
Yes, I agree.
So I do think Joe will be the highest ranked player in Fantasy Worlds. I don't think Joe's track record is such that I think making anyone else cost more than him would not be reasonable. I think you will see, I could actually see a 4 at the top because I could absolutely see Hayes up in that same bracket as well.
I can see Hayes
in part just to keep it so you can only pick 1.
I mean, I do like that. I do like that idea. Making either Hayes or Joe. I mean, if you pick like last year, Joe was 55, Hayes was 45. That right there's 100 points, and you need 3 people.
Yep.
I mean, you can't do it.
But I mean, Hayes won the last major and beat Joe to advance.
Joe conceded to him in the top 8. So, and to me, I mean, that's fine. That's their prerogative.
Yeah.
I think Hayes maybe at like 50. If MHT goes, I would say I'd put him with Hayes at like 50 as well. Outside of that, maybe Greg has to be the next one. But again, yeah, I do agree with you that Joe would be in that spot of like 55, maybe 60. you cannot not put Johnny up there too.
Yeah, I think the top three
Johnny
has to be
is
Joe, Johnny, and Justin.
yes, I agree with you there. If Justin comes,
And I think he's put up there for fantasy either way. Short of Justin fully saying, I am absolutely 100% not coming, I think you put him in there because Justin Asai, who's been playing games against Johnny and Johnny's kids, and maybe hasn't taken it as seriously as he did last year, but still, Justin Desai is a good enough player. He can show up and make top 8.
Yeah.
And once you make top 8,
it's
everything's up for grabs.
Yeah.
So
and
Justin says he's 50-50 to go still.
Okay. You know what?
All right. So what I'm hearing is Justin's worth 50 points in fantasy just for that.
Okay. I can agree with you there. Based on that, like, who would you say? So we agree on Johnny and Justin, or Johnny, Justin, and Joe, and that 55 points. 55 is fine for those three. I gotta put Greg, Hayes, MHT. Again, I don't see him on the pre-registration list. If he decides he is,
I'm literally pulling up the pre-registration list right now to look at it.
Yeah, I would say it has to be Hayes and Greg. Okay, MHT is not going. Maybe I would say Drew's in that third tier, by far. Outside of that, like maybe Charlie. Charlie came in second at Nationals.
I think Charlie's probably in the 40-point tier. I think Charlie. I think Kessling.
I'd put B. Fred down there too, just because B. Fred hasn't done really anything this year, and I hate to say that.
Well, I don't think he's really played a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know if I've seen him. I think Jeff Levine's got to be up in that 35, 40-point spot as well. And honestly, I think
Jeff has the
Batmouse
potential
does too.
You're going to put Batmouse in the 35 rank?
Batmouse has topped 4.
I know that, but that's running my strategy.
He's played it. Okay, well, I'm sorry. Your strategy is to hope people, don't respect Batmouse because, he can't see over the top of the bar. That's really Batmouse's,
Okay, you know what? I'm going to make sure that because I'm driving, I'm going to make sure I bring him a booster seat.
Thank you for timing that before I took my sip of tea. That would have been.
Now, again, looking at the players, like, I'd say Chris Wirfs has to be up there. Like, he's always a potential. Jeff,
I think Wirfs, Sam Tashima,
Matt Scott.
Bill
I think
Kafer
Matt Scott is that question mark to me.
Are that like 30-point? They're good players. They can definitely make that top 8. And if you see them in it, you're not going to be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
But they could definitely finish 10th or 12th, and you wouldn't be shocked with that either. Like, they're good players. They're going to be competitive.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you're hoping for at that 30-point type number.
Okay, now here's the really important question.
All right.
Who's the highest ranked advocate? Because right now, so just for your information, the advocates who are registered, Jared, Chris Kelly, I
don't see Scott, but
Scott's going. I believe Scott is.
Yeah,
going.
I'm expecting Scott will be there, and I love Scott, but Scott plays fun decks, and Scott plays weird decks. I think Jared or Chris would be my.
So who are you going to put higher, Chris or Jared?
I'm going to put Jared because I think Chris is way too locked in on playing Jedis, and he's that's just what he's going to do. I think Jared's going to get it. Mostly because I think right now the Phillies are doing better than the Yankees, because I think everybody's doing better than the Yankees. So that's what we're going to say. Jared finishes slightly above Chris.
So your reasoning is the Yankees are in last place, and the Phillies are higher than the Yankees.
I mean, anytime I get to, crap on the Yankees, I'm going to take advantage of it because my Twins can't beat them ever. So,
Yeah, and
yeah, I'm going to go with
just lost two out of three.
I'm going to say I'm going to say Chris's allegiance to the Yankees puts him a spot behind Jared. So, yeah, I mean, if MHT was going, Justin, he'd be in that conversation for
Easily.
easily favorite. Like, no question. There's a few guys who aren't going who would be right in that conversation. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Greg and Hayes are both, if I had to name a top eight, and don't put me on the spot for that right now because I didn't do any planning on that, but
I want your
Greg and
top eight
Hayes
right
would
now.
definitely be guys I would put in that top eight.
You said that you can't come on next week, so give me your top eight. Go.
All right. So, top eight right now, just off registered players. So, I'm not
Yeah.
going to take anyone who's not registered.
Okay.
Joe Olson,
Okay.
Hayes Hunter,
Okay.
Kessling,
Okay. I can see. Yeah.
Greg,
Okay. That's
that's four, Johnny,
five.
Drew,
Okay.
I'm gonna go Jeff Levine,
Six.
and then I was gonna pick Arlinson, but I don't see that he's registered, so I'm still at seven. Hold on.
Yeah, I don't see Charlie on the list for the registered yet.
So then we're gonna go dark horse and say Carl.
That's
Crazy Carl pulls in
seven, I think.
top eight. That was eight by my count.
Okay.
Joe Hayes, Carl,
Johnny.
Kessling, Greg Shaw, Johnny, Drew,
And Jeff.
and Jeff. Yeah, that was eight.
Okay.
So-
well, I put you on the spot, so
But-
I'm going to give you mine.
Okay.
Okay. Johnny, Joe, Hayes. Sokol. So that's four. Greg.
Yep.
Five. I got to go with Drew. So that's six. Worf's is seven. And I'm going to say Connor.
Yeah, like there's a whole bunch of people I looked at and went, I wouldn't be surprised if they make it.
Yeah.
Werfs
same.
is in that list. Bill Kafer's in that list. Tashima's in that list.
You,
For sure,
actually,
like,
you know what? I'm going to. Another guy that I'm like on the fence with, he's almost always is like 9 or 10, Casey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Casey's a valid,
Yeah.
valid choice as well. There's a lot of good players out there that can make that can make it. And yeah, I mean, like I said, some of this is not, we're at 58 registered players right now. Justin might show up. I don't know if Charlie's going or not. I thought he was. Like,
yeah.
that
I mean,
there's gonna be surprises.
Definitely.
So
Yeah, because I'm looking on the unofficial list. Scott's on there. Mike Danboyce is on there. I actually don't see Charlie on there either.
yeah, he might not be going. He might have something going on.
Interesting.
That's definitely missing some people though, because that's only got 39 and we're already at 58.
Yeah. Now I will say this: if I'm rooting for a finals, I got to go with Johnny versus Sokol. That would be probably the most exciting finals.
Yeah, I would not be unhappy to see that. Honestly, Johnny versus Joe would be real good just to see
Who gets their third?
and just to see great players playing
Yeah,
good cards. Like I'm, at the end of the
that's
day,
fair.
that's what I want to see. Like if I can't win it, I want to see good players playing.
Well, you're not playing in it.
I mean, I'm registered for it. We'll see if I'm playing or not. We
Okay.
gotta
Okay.
we gotta have that discussion. I'm not sure yet.
Speaking of, you know what? Speaking of Mr. Garrett here, our last swing and a miss question for the night. Garrett, you will place no lower than fourth in the retro event.
Um, I'm gonna call that a miss simply because if I only play one, it'll actually probably be cube because I love cube as much as I love
I
retro.
get that, but you're coming off of doing really well in the retro event. I think you came in what first in the Return of the Jedi event, the retro event. You won Minnesota State, so I like your chances to do well.
I
But you're
mean,
saying that you're not believing in, like, I know that you're saying that you want to play in the cube, but
like,
it's retro. It's your thing. You're old.
yeah, but like, I like cube. I really enjoy cube. I
Okay.
like the drafting.
Plus, I thought you were going to do
I have
both.
said, given the option, if it will stop a buy, I will try and double fist and play both. And in that case, I will definitely not finish in the top four, probably in either because I will make dumb mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I'm
It's
going to
Premiere
have
and a Death
fun.
Star too. Come on, you know you want to.
Yeah. Oh, I've got decks built. Don't
See, you even got decks built. You don't have to worry.
don't
Don't have to worry
misunderstand.
about arts
I've
and
got decks
crafts. You
built,
don't have to build the decks at the tournament.
and
You don't have to think.
I will not be playing the same light side I played at the Nationals
Oh, you should.
retro event.
You should. And you won
But
that one too.
yes, but I don't want people to hate me.
Nobody's gonna hate you because you give out hugs.
Hugs only go so far when you're putting in inserts. Hugs only go so
Well,
far.
then
Like,
bring booze. Bring good beer, not the beer that
here's
builds
a never
brains.
tell me the odds. Can I get a hug? They'll be saying things we can't say on Twitch.
Yes, you can. Well, probably.
No, Jared has been very clear. There's words I'm not allowed to say.
We know.
That's why I can't get drunk and do Twitch. So, no, if I play in the retro event, I would hope to play well, and top four would be a spot I would expect to finish in. But again, given my druthers, I'll play cube. I'm signed up for cube, so I would only do the retro to stop a buy, and then who knows how good I'll play. But I will have decks,
And you'll play.
and we'll see how it works.
And you're gonna play. And you're gonna come in no lower than fourth because I believe in you. If you play, you're gonna do so well. Everybody's gonna be like, "Wow, who is this Garrett?" Like people be like, "Wow,
I mean,
Garrett."
I
Where'd
feel
you
like
come
that at this point everybody knows me. Like
from? I don't know.
either you knew me from back in the day, or you know me from my time being back now. But like,
Yeah.
if you don't know who I am, just come up and ask. I'll give you a hug. And that's
Well, I thought I knew you, but apparently I don't.
it's. I was a little surprised you went with that because I thought you knew I was going to do cube.
No, I didn't.
Given my druthers, that cube is just so much fun.
Yeah.
I
I
love
agree.
sealed deck. I love cube.
I agree.
I've been advocating for a couple of years that I think I'd love Worlds to go back to a
Oh, I
3-day
would've-
format and have
Oh, God, no.
have a cube component.
No.
So, like, I would love to see a cube component, constructed component, and then the top 8 is off of combined record.
That just
So
sounds bad.
it sounds like it would be long.
Yeah.
It'd make for
It's like
it would force everyone who wants to qualify to be there Friday and play.
yeah, and we all have
And
lives and
I get it.
jobs and wives and other things that keep us busy on Fridays.
I mean, I have a job and a wife, and I'm flying in Thursday because I work for the government, and just told my boss, "Hey, I'm not going to be here for a while." And
Yeah,
he said, "Okay."
You can do that.
It's the upside of having been there a long time and being
Mm-hmm.
the only person who does my job.
That's fair.
They want to keep me happy, and this is what keeps me happy. So we stick with it. But yeah, Worlds is going to be a blast. That's the that's the highlight of my year now since coming back, is coming out to Worlds, seeing everybody, get to hang out, play cards. We'll see if I play the main event or not. I'm registered for it, and we'll see how that all breaks down and go from there.
Awesome. Sounds great. Well, I think that's all we got for tonight, everybody. Again, thank you for watching. I want to talk. I want to give a big thank you to Garrett, as always. Garrett, who is now on Series 3 of the Holotheatre Hosted Heroes cards. We'll be giving out some of those, hopefully at Worlds, so make sure you guys look out for those. Next week we'll talk more Worlds coverage. We'll talk definitely about the Best Spin Regionals, see how everything went with that. And as always, everybody, be safe, take care, enjoy the rest of your week, and as always, may the force be with you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.